address some questions from anybody, and you guys can drop these in the comments. You can hit up our social media or anything. Let us know what you think, anything you want us to talk about. If we say something like, wait, maybe that isn't right, like let us know. We'll address them. I can't get to everybody all the time, but we'll pick out some ones that are good, and eventually there'll be an email you can write to. But for now, what I have is a question that my buddy sent me.
Okay.
He asked me the biggest difference in my life and faith following having a child. Yeah, no, he hit me with like a brick wall
That's
there,
a
right?
deep one. Yeah, that's a
Deep
deep one. I
one.
want to hear. I want to hear what you have to say. Actually.
So already, as far as faith, that was kind of happening with my marriage, and the past year or so through APU football, it's Christian football, and they always encouraged. Like there were people getting baptized. There were people that talking about the faith was commonplace, and I always thought like I feel like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it here, right? Like it was a calling. Like maybe I should get back into this thing, and but then they shut down the program, and I was lost. I was like, how can God want this? How is this the plan? And I was really worried for my spiritual journey at that point, but going on, me and my wife had been together almost 8 years then, and we had a lot of troubles for a while before we kind of committed. And I was just like, you know what? I just kind of made my intentions clear. Like I should have done this a long time ago. And it's funny. Once I made the decision to propose, I went and bought a ring the next day, and I
Wow.
proposed. I think the day after. So once I kind of cleared out all the
Yeah.
craziness, I kind of humbled myself, and I stopped trying to control everything, trying to control the factors. I just humbled myself and let God kind of lead the path. I made the decision, and I proposed, and she said yes, and we super excited. And but I had a realization. I quickly came to the conclusion that I'm marrying the love of my life. We're gonna have we didn't know at the time, but we're gonna have a baby soon. And I thought like there's a lot that I haven't thought through as far as religion, as far as politics, and I'm about to be in the biggest leadership position I've been in my life. I've been, a leadership position in football. I've been, helping people in my friends group and people I talk to, and I'm always one to talk. I never in groups and stuff for school projects. I like to present and stuff, so I've always been in that role. It's kind of been natural to me, but this is I realize the biggest leadership role I'm ever gonna have, and it's leading not only myself, getting myself together so I can be a reputable leader, right? So I'm not just someone talking, but I have like proof to back it up that I'm living a good life and that I'm reaping the rewards of that. But I'm about to lead my family. I'm about to lead my wife and my household and my kids and be a father. And as we said before, the impact of fatherless homes or even lack of male role models. You could have a dad in the home, but if he's not receptive, or he could be even negative to your development. So I think I was like, it dawned on me a sudden realization: I need to get my shit together like now, like, and that's how I thought of it, and it was the biggest kind of realization, and that's as far as fitness, that's as far as you know religion, just being that bedrock and setting up that foundation. And part of my vows to my wife when we did get married was I vowed to, always keep God at the foundation of this relationship. Because I know with Him, you are stronger in everything you try to do, right? Going with His word and going with His path He sets out for you, letting go of control, like you are, you have His strength behind you. And that's one of the biggest things you can have. So I even asked a lot of my friends, we had like kind of theological debates in our group chat, like, what, because I was always confused with Christianity. I liked Catholicism because it was rigid. There was things to do. There was only one. Whereas Christianity, there's a lot of different, I guess, sects or divisions of it. And I wasn't sure which one I fell into or anything. And I still, don't know the exact category, I guess. But I was talking to him like, okay, what is this? What's the basis of this, right? And how can we know? Because I want to build that foundation for my family. So the question was, how has having a kid impacted my faith in my life? So the faith was kind of already a part of it. in my marriage. That's what kind of clicked, and like I need to get this straight on the right path. And I'm stumbling. I'm still going to learn. I'm not perfect. I'm interested in questions, and I'm glad I have friends like James that we can discuss these things with. But as far as having the kid, when we found out, and even then, because there's your marriage and being a family, but it was even 10 times more when I found out, she was gonna have a baby. I was just driven, I was doing like all sorts of stuff to achieve my goals. I was just like, kids coming, like we got to get stuff going, right? It's just crazy motivation. So as far as changing my life, it just, it's just it dawns on you suddenly that like you need to provide for this person. You're not just thinking autonomously anymore. You're not just thinking about yourself, and you have more to live up to, and a more important role to play. So yeah, the dawning of your leadership role came to me when I was getting married, and when I had the kid, even more so. And now that the kid's here, one of the biggest things I do want to say, for so long, and I think for a lot of players, even athletes, especially ones that play in college and everything, your sport is such a big aspect of who you consider you are. Like, I'm Big Tim, I'm the football player, right? That's who I was. Like, I have other things I'm interested in, but that was my main thing. And for a lot of people, it's a struggle when you can't play anymore to find something of your self-worth value other than that, right? To find purpose, because it's what gives people purpose, and it's a good thing, but there's more to life than that in a lot of cases. So I always was dreading the day I'd stop playing football. When my clock was up, I wanted to play until my body couldn't. I always heard there's different guys at different levels and stuff, but people that complain about practice and stuff, like, they're just like not wanting to go. And I was never one to be like, never one to not appreciate it. Some guys would like really like just like, oh, like we got to do this. I'm just like, no, we get to do this. And that's something that's hard to come by sometimes, because when you're going through it, I'm not going to sit here and say like I was dying and like I was like going through a lot, and I was loving being there all the time. But as far as going, like getting up and going, I was never like dreading it. I was like, we got practice, let's go. So yeah, it was a big part, and I wanted to play forever, and then I thought it would be devastating when I couldn't. And the last, like, third to last game I was a part of, I was tearing up a little bit at the end because I was realizing, like, this is coming to an end. It was very emotional. But after the last game, I wasn't, bawling. I wasn't very emotional about it. And after that point, my kid had been born. My little baby Aurora had met the world, and I don't know. I think just priorities changed, I'm not so involved in that. That's not who I am anymore. Now I'm a father. I'm a leader. I'm, married, and we're trying to build a family. So that helped me transition from that. There's a lot to be said about other people who don't have that, or something else not as important in their lives, because it is a lot harder for them. And I still do miss it. Like, I had dreams about it, every now and then I'll miss, like, oh, I'm going to go in a game or something. And so it's forever going to be a huge part of me. And I feel like I really want to coach at some point too, for a multitude of reasons. But that's something too. I was more intensive about coaching the past 2 years. And then after this season, after knowing I have a kid, after starting a family, I have less of a mindset of that's what I need to do. Like, because I know the time commitment it takes. I know that football coaches largely spend more times with their players and their families. And that's not something I wanted to wrap myself around right now. I especially for me, one of my biggest goals is to be there for my kids, straight up. That's like the goal for me. That's like, I can't think of one that's higher right now, Like, that's the biggest driving force has been for a long time. So I want to coach, and I think I will coach in some aspect at some point, but for right now, I'm trying different roads. So yeah, it changes everything, man. It's huge.
Man, that was great, man. That was great. Yeah, I felt like you shared a lot of things I didn't know. That was that was deep. It's funny because I've been I don't really use my Twitter, but I have it set up where anybody that I prioritize, their stuff comes up. And yeah, it's always very interesting to see what you write.
Mm-hmm.
It's always stuff that I can tell like you're really reflecting, like you're really you're really like transitioning into this man where yeah you obviously prioritizing your family, and it's really nice to see because that's what's supposed to be happening. And unfortunately we have a lot of guys that they have the privilege of having a woman that is committed to them and they have this beautiful family and they don't see it as anything. They'll still try to actually be that bachelor and be that party guy and be that whatever and they neglect this privilege that they have. And you know so but it's so refreshing that one of my close friends like is a part of this and they're going about it the way that God intended for man to.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's cool to still have connections with other stuff but put everything in its proper place.
Yeah.
That's really nice to see that. Yeah, that was awesome, man. Yeah, we're gonna have
Thank
to
you.
have more deep questions like that at the end, and that was good.
Yeah.